There is a quiet kind of loneliness that doesn't look like loneliness, a life lived present yet hidden, where someone smiles easily, listens deeply, moves through the world with grace, but never lets anyone close enough to touch the truth. Some people are not afraid of being alone. They are afraid of being known, afraid of eyes that see beneath the practiced calm, the wit, the composure, afraid of love that has the power to expose what survival once demanded they bury. They don't want to be unseen. They simply don't know how to exist in the open without expecting to shatter, because being truly seen is not just visibility, it is vulnerability. And for some, vulnerability was never safe. So they learned to hide in plain sight, to speak without revealing, to be present without being felt, a whole heart, carefully guarded, a soul waiting for permission to exhale. No one wakes up one day and decides to hide. Hiding is learned, quietly, slowly, like the way a plant grows toward the light. Except in this case, the light once burned. The instinct to stay unseen almost always begins young. In rooms where voices felt louder than hearts, where rules mattered more than feelings, where a child's softness met a world that didn't know how to hold it. Sometimes, it begins with love. Love that was conditional, unpredictable, fragile. A child praised for being good, rewarded for calmness, composure, silence. They learned that emotional stillness earned approval, while needs created distance or disappointment. Other times it began with absence. Parents busy surviving their own storms. A home filled with movement but lacking emotional arms. No cruelty, just no space. A child who learned that expression leads to emptiness, and emptiness hurts more than holding everything inside. And then there are the homes where vulnerability was treated like weakness, where tears meant shame, where questions invited irritation, where asking for comfort felt like lighting a fuse. Children in these worlds become observers, scanning faces, listening for tone, learning the art of quiet compliance. Their safety came not from being seen, but from being invisible. Some were told directly, "Don't be dramatic. You're too sensitive. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about." Others heard it indirectly, in the sighs of tired parents, in the eyes that looked away, in the moments when their small emotions felt like too much for the room to hold. A child doesn't interpret neglect as the world being unavailable. They interpret it as themselves being wrong to need, so they shrink. They tidy their feelings. They turn their hearts into quiet rooms where even they walk softly. Years later, someone may wonder why this person never opens up. Why affection feels complicated. Why closeness makes them pull away just when things begin to deepen, but no one sees the first lessons. The small moments where vulnerability cost them emotional safety. A slammed door, a mocking laugh, a parent who disappeared emotionally or physically when pain entered the room. Trust frayed in tiny increments. Not broken once, but worn thread by thread, and some didn't hide because of pain, but because of responsibility. The caretaker child. The peacekeeper. The emotional sponge. The one who absorbed the household's tension, who became the steady one before they even understood what steady meant. They learned that there wasn't room for their fears or tears. They learned to swallow their storms, because someone else's storms felt bigger, more urgent, more dangerous. In those early years, hiding wasn't a flaw. It was intelligence, adaptation, a delicate self-preservation, and so concealment became comfort. A small internal home where they kept the parts of themselves that felt too tender for the world. If someone had told that child, "You are allowed to feel," maybe things would be different. If someone sat beside them instead of turning away, held space instead of demanding silence, they might have grown into a person unafraid of being known, but life rarely grants such clarity in childhood, so hiding became habit. Habit became identity. Identity became protection, and even now, long after the danger is gone, the instinct remains. Because when a child learns that love is earned by disappearing, the adult they become struggles to believe that love can survive being seen. Some wounds do not bleed, they echo, quiet, persistent, shaping a life not through scar tissue, but through the spaces where connection never learned to land. And somewhere, in the quietest part of them, a small voice still waits. The child who never got to exist fully. The child who learned that safety lived in shadows, A child now grown, still searching for someone who can see them without asking them to hide. Fear of being seen is not a lack of desire for connection. It is the nervous system remembering danger. It is the brain, shaped by old moments, still scanning for harm long after the threat has passed. Psychology calls it avoidant attachment, a bond learned not by closeness but by distance, where safety feels tied to self-containment and vulnerability feels like surrendering control. In these minds, love and threat live side by side. Attention was unpredictable. Affection came with conditions. Comfort was inconsistent. So the brain did what it does best. It adapted. Connection was rewritten in the nervous system as risk, and solitude became a form of emotional armor. The prefrontal cortex, logic, composure, restraint, built walls to keep order. The amygdala, fear, memory, survival, whispered warnings whenever closeness approached. This is not weakness. This is survival intelligence. Some people did not learn how to be invisible by accident. Their bodies learned to dim their emotional presence the way a flame lowers itself to avoid wind. Hypervigilance sits in the background, watching, interpreting tone, reading faces before words ever land. Not paranoia, pattern recognition. Their minds analyze before trusting. They predict outcomes before expressing needs. They anticipate rejection before intimacy has a chance to settle. And so they protect themselves with subtle strategies. The quick subject change when someone gets too personal. The joke when a moment turns sincere. The shrug when someone asks, "What do you need?" They answer with, "I'm fine," not because they are, but because fine feels safer than human. Emotional suppression becomes muscle memory, not dramatic silence, just gentle withholding. A quiet editing of the self. Psychologists call it self-concealment, the act of hiding personal distress even when connection is available. It isn't pride or coldness. It is protection crafted over years. The mind whispers an ancient rule. To need is to risk, and so stillness becomes their language. Internal restraint becomes their posture. They love, but cautiously. They care, but quietly. They reach out, but indirectly. They ache, but silently. Even joy can feel dangerous, because joy brings softness, and softness feels like exposure. Some people fear rejection. These individuals fear being known first, because being known makes rejection sharper. Underneath, there is a deep longing the brain rarely voices. Will someone stay if they see the truth of me? This fear is not irrational. It is wired into memory, encoded into the nervous system like a reflex. But here is the paradox. What protected them once imprisons them later. A life lived behind subtle glass teaches safety, but also hunger. For warmth, for closeness, for someone who doesn't just enjoy their presence but recognizes their absence. There is also identity in invisibility. When you spend years being strong, composed, reliable, you become a role instead of a person. And stepping out of that role feels like stepping onto thin ice. Uncertainty, tremor, hesitation. Psychologically, it is not just about fear of judgment. It is fear of collapse. Fear of losing the version of self that once kept everything together. To be seen means allowing someone to witness the parts of you you once hid even from yourself. It means letting truth exist in the light without flinching. And the nervous system, loyal to history, whispers, "Are you sure you will survive that?" Yet beneath all the science sits something simpler. A human truth. People do not fear being seen because they are empty. They fear being seen because they are full of stories, softness, uncried tears, unspoken hopes. And deep down, they know visibility is not about eyes on them. It is about being met, without armor. The brain calls it risk, the body calls it exposure, the heart calls it longing, and somewhere between them, a quiet life waits to become a living one. There is a special kind of conflict that lives inside those who fear being truly seen. Not the loud kind, the explosive battles of anger or need, but a quiet civil war, fought in sighs and hesitations, in the weight of words never spoken. They crave closeness, yet retreat when it arrives. They long to be chosen, yet hide the parts of themselves that could inspire devotion. They want to be understood, yet speak only in safe fragments. It is not confusion. It is self-protection wrestling with longing, a hand that reaches forward, and another that pulls back. "Come close," their heart whispers. "Please don't," their fear replies. So connection becomes push and pull, a dance of approach and retreat. When someone shows affection, a part of them warms. Another tenses. Compliments feel suspicious. Kindness feels fragile. Intimacy feels like standing on an edge without knowing how to balance. They test safety in silent ways, pausing before replying to vulnerability, offering only half-truths first to see if the world stays gentle, letting someone get close, then suddenly going quiet. A retreat not out of rejection, but regulation, not leave me alone. More like, give me space to feel safe again. Because closeness doesn't feel warm at first. It feels like exposure. Like someone has walked into a room they didn't know had a door. And when someone tries to understand them too quickly, it triggers an old reflex. Invisible first. Understood later, if ever. They fear being misunderstood just as much as being seen. And misunderstanding feels almost inevitable because they have lived so long without showing their depths. How can you understand me, they think, when you have never met the real parts? So they armor up in subtle ways, perfect behavior, emotional neutrality, competence as camouflage, politeness as distance. They stay easy to love by never becoming too real. They remain unproblematic by never needing too much. They avoid judgment by avoiding vulnerability. But beneath that careful restraint is exhaustion, a tiredness not of body, but of carrying unseen truths. At night, when they lie in quiet rooms, their chest aches in ways they cannot name. It is not loneliness for company, but loneliness for authenticity, for the relief of being known without performance. Yet when someone asks, "What's really going on?" their instinct whispers nothing. "I'm fine," not because nothing exists, but because everything feels too sacred to risk. There is also shame layered beneath. Shame for being guarded. Shame for wanting love. Shame for not knowing how to receive it. And in rare moments when someone sees through their composure, the reaction is not gratitude. It is panic. Startled, like a bird whose feathers have been touched unexpectedly. So they leave messages unanswered. Cancel plans with soft excuses. Pull back just when intimacy begins to root. Not self-sabotage and self-preservation. They are not running from people. They are running from the possibility of being deeply known and then rejected or misunderstood or abandoned. Better to leave early than be left exposed. Better to stay hidden than risk unfolding. And yet, beneath the fear, another voice breathes quietly. Patient. Persistent. You deserve to be seen. This is the war within, not between them and others, but between the person who learned to survive unseen and the person who longs to finally exist. There is no villain in this war. Only two parts of the same soul trying to protect the same heart in different ways. And when they withdraw, when they grow quiet, when they seem distant, it is not because they do not care. It is because feeling is heavy. Because safety is fragile. Because closeness, though beautiful, still feels like walking barefoot on unfamiliar ground. And yet they stay. Even at a distance, they stay. Because a part of them is trying, slowly, cautiously, to believe that there may be a life where being seen does not mean being hurt. For most of their life, hiding worked. It kept pain distant, kept disappointment small, kept the heart protected behind walls that felt almost invisible. But every defense has limits. And there always comes a moment, soft or sudden, when the mask trembles. Sometimes it happens quietly, in a conversation where someone listens without judgment. A question gently asked, a silence held without pressure, and suddenly, a truth slips out before they can swallow it, a confession, a quiver in the voice. A sentence that feels too honest, it surprises them, startles them. They feel exposed, almost as if they dropped something fragile in public. And when the world doesn't collapse, when the other person stays, calm and present, the body feels confusion first, relief second. Other times, the breaking is not soft. It is grief or heartbreak or exhaustion so deep they no longer have energy to hold themselves together. There are nights where composure cannot be maintained. where tears come uninvited and they realize how long they've been holding their breath. Or love arrives, not loud or demanding, but steady. Someone sees them not as strength, but as a soul. Someone notices the pauses, the silence, the slight tremor in the voice when emotions threaten to surface. Someone says, "I'm here. You don't have to hide with me." And the heart fears this more than abandonment. Because what if this time, hiding is no longer possible? There is a delicate terror in being recognized without performing. It's not dramatic, not cinematic. It feels instead like standing on unfamiliar ground, like a door opening inside the chest that has been locked for years. Even kindness feels overwhelming at first, because being held emotionally requires a vulnerability they do not yet know how to trust. They may withdraw after moments like these, not because they reject connection, but because they need time to feel safe again in unfamiliar tenderness. They replay conversations. They analyze every word they spoke. They wonder if they revealed too much or appeared weak. Then slowly they notice something new. The world didn't shift. They didn't break. They are still here, and in that realization, a crack forms in the old belief. Being seen is dangerous. Sometimes the catalyst is losing someone who never truly knew them. The heartbreak isn't in the loss itself, but in realizing they were never emotionally present in the first place. An emptiness becomes undeniable. A longing they ignored becomes louder. I want to be known, or perhaps it is aging. Watching years go by while staying a supporting character in their own emotional story. A moment in the mirror where the eyes speak before the mouth does. You deserve more than survival. The turning point is rarely dramatic. It is often quiet. A decision whispered rather than declared. A softness returned to the soul like light returning after long winter. They begin allowing tiny truths to exist out loud. Not all at once. Not with everyone, but with someone safe, someone gentle. Or even in solitude first, admitting feelings to themselves without shame. This is the moment where the heart begins to thaw, where the nervous system, once braced for loss, starts to test the idea of trust, where being seen shifts from threat to possibility, and it does not feel like victory. It feels like trembling. A quiet shake inside the ribs. Fear, yes, but also hope. Because beneath the armor, beneath years of practiced stillness, there has always been a soul waiting patiently, not to be admired, not to be perfect, simply to be witnessed, and for the first time, they allow the possibility that someone might see them and stay, not because they are strong or composed or invulnerable, but because they are human. Healing does not begin with a grand declaration. It begins with a gentle permission, quiet, almost hesitant. A soft whisper inside the chest saying, maybe I don't have to protect myself this much anymore. For people who fear being truly seen, healing is not a leap. It is a series of small openings, soft cracks in old armor, tiny moments where they let themselves stay instead of retreat. It begins with recognizing a feeling, not pushing it away. A sigh released instead of swallowed. A thought spoken aloud, even if it's only one sentence more than usual. Sometimes it starts in solitude. Journals that hold truths whispered nowhere else. Long walks where they practice admitting fears to the open air. The realization that they can sit with emotion without drowning in it. There is no grand transformation, just subtle shifts, a pause before shutting down, a breath before retreat, a willingness to let someone's concern linger instead of brushing it aside. They start to notice things they once ignored, how their body tenses when someone gets close, how they change the subject when emotions rise, how compliments make them uncomfortable because they imply someone truly sees them. Awareness arrives first. Gentleness follows. They begin allowing themselves small vulnerabilities, not dramatic confessions, but simple truths. I had a hard day. I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what I need yet, but I'm here. These sentences feel like courage dressed in softness. They don't break the mask, they loosen it. Trust develops slowly, like dawn spreading across a quiet sky. At first, every tiny exposure feels risky, as if the world might punish the honesty. But gradually, something changes. They begin to discover that vulnerability does not always lead to hurt. Sometimes it leads to warmth, understanding, connection. They realize they don't have to offer perfection to deserve love. That being chosen does not require invisibility. that someone can see the messy inner parts and still remain gentle. Healing also means learning to sit with praise, to accept affection without flinching, to let kindness land instead of deflecting it. It means recognizing the instinct to pull away and choosing, just once in a while, not to. It means letting their voice shake in a conversation instead of silencing it. Letting tears exist without apology. Letting someone hold a truth that once felt too heavy to speak. And slowly, they begin to learn something foreign yet comforting. Being seen does not equal being unsafe. Sometimes being seen feels like air after years underwater. They start to notice the difference between the past and the present. Between people who couldn't hold their feelings and those who can. Between the childhood that shaped their instincts and the adulthood that can reshape them. It doesn't erase fear. It teaches coexistence, the ability to feel fear and still remain open. Safety is no longer built by hiding, but by choosing where to unfold. They become selective, not secretive. Boundaried, not armored. Soft without collapsing. And in these moments, something profound emerges, a sense of inner quiet. The type that comes not from shrinking, but from belonging, to themselves first, and then slowly, to others. Healing looks like this: sitting in a room and feeling present. Speaking with honesty instead of performance. Allowing someone's gaze without shrinking from it. Letting emotions move instead of cage them. It's not a loud transformation. It's a slow returning, a re-inhabiting, a homecoming into a self they once thought needed hiding. The world does not change, but their place in it does. Not as a shadow, not as an observer, but as a being who exists fully, seen not because they forced visibility, but because they finally allowed it. And in those quiet moments of courage, they begin to trust something fragile and new. I can be known, and still be safe. The wind whispered across the quiet valley as Aiden reached the summit. The world below stretched endless and fragile, rivers curling like silver ribbons, mountains breathing ancient silence, trees swaying as if humming secrets only the patient could hear. For the first time, he wasn't searching for answers. He was standing inside one. He had spent months walking through ruins of who he used to be. Fear, doubt, grief, all the shadows that once convinced him he was nothing more than a passing thought in a cold universe. But along the way, he learned something quieter, something sharper than pain and deeper than joy. Existing, really existing, was an act of rebellion. Not because life was always gentle, but because he chose to stand anyway. Aiden sat on the stone ledge, watching sunlight spill like molten gold over the horizon. For years, he thought courage meant never breaking. But now he knew courage was something else entirely. Courage was waking up every day knowing the weight of the world, yet still deciding to walk forward. Courage was breathing through storms. Courage was staying, even when staying felt impossible. All the voices in his past, the ones that said he was too small, too lost, too unimportant, dissolved into the morning air. The universe didn't need him to be flawless, extraordinary, or unscarred. It simply needed him to be here. Aiden touched the earth beside him, solid, alive, forgiving, and he smiled quietly, the way one smiles when understanding finally settles into the bones. Existing is not a burden. It is a declaration. Not everyone will climb mountains or change nations, he thought. But everyone, every soul who chooses to breathe, to try, to hope, even in whispers, is proof that life itself refuses to surrender. And in that moment, under the vast sky, Aiden made his final vow. He would not exist out of obligation. He would exist out of courage. He would not survive out of fear. He would live out of choice, because his story was not about being unbroken. It was about remaining, about rising, about daring to be here, fully and fiercely. With a breath soft but determined, Aiden whispered into the wind, "I choose to exist," and the world, quiet, magnificent and endless, whispered back,